the main kind of thing I wanted to look at was to kind of build up a bit of a base understanding of like normal materials, like standard things that you'd be putting on surfaces. So if we were to just, we made a few weird things at the end of last session. I forgot about that. What is that thing that we added in? I can't even remember. It was just a cube that we applied that movement kind of vector to. Or movement material, I should say. We don't really care about that so much right now. To which point I might just delete it because it's distracting. So what I'd like is to add like the brick textures and that I downloaded earlier. So if you recall, we had some bricks. I have a few of these, so we're just gonna go ahead and put these into a folder of their own. So if I go into my documents and we have our, or is it in my pictures folder? I might have put it Monthly Gamedev challenge thing, yeah, in here. And let's add in these. Add our bricks in there. And then we close that. I've got a few of these open. Let's add our concrete in. And then let's add in the final one, which was our wood that we added in. Sweet. Okay, and then we're going to import all of those. Those, and those. I'm going to add these into our textures folder, like so. Now, I know I don't want to do a wavy thing because I don't want today to be completely about the wavy thing, about movement. I'm happy to try it, but I think the fact that we asked Brain to make it from scratch rather than just explain his graph gave us a bit of a let's start again sort of thing. I think it's a good idea to practice what you've learned. I don't dispute that. I'm just trying to keep a scope of what I want to get done in this stream, because I had some other plans which we haven't touched, and we've been doing this for an hour and a half now. Let's think what we want to do now. So we want to go ahead and make a material then, and we're going to use these with that material. So if we go into, I don't know why we've put them in here. First person, it's just because we made first person project, I guess. We got our meshes. Have we not got a folder for the materials yet? Our materials. No, that's for a gun. Where's the materials that we made? Like, where's this base material? Sorry, I just can't remember where I set things up. Okay, I put it in the first person meshes. Yeah, I don't feel that's a good place for it. So let's quickly make a new folder. Clean this up a bit because we're going to work with this for another couple of weeks. Go into meshes. Let's add a filter of. Oh, no, I just. Yeah, material. Oops. Move these into here. Excellent. What are you making? 1 minute pitch. This is not going to be anything exciting in terms of making. So what I'm going to be doing now is making a master material, which will expose out certain properties so that we can make material instances using that. And we can control the things that we commonly want to change on a material. This will include changing the actual textures, the color, the albedo, along with the, if you have one, with the normal maps and other maps, such as like the roughness map, if they're available. We could set up a tint so that you're able to shift the colors slightly on the textures. We'll be able to set up a scaler so we can change the magnitude of which the normal map is kind of, or the amount of detail that we've got in our normal map. So instead of having to make a graph each time and mess around with this big complicated graph, we're making one graph, and then we can just expose out these parameters and change those on our actual material instances in order to get the desired impact that we want. And then you can use this for all of your surfaces in the entire game. You can then use this an instance from that master material. And that's what we want to do. It's a very good first building block, and there's some cool, simple stuff, but it helps you get used to the idea of it. So that's what I'd like to be doing. So we are in, let's get rid of these filters. And we want to go into our materials. We're going to make one. So material, is there, do you actually make like a master material? I don't think you do. I think the material is indeed considered like the master one. So we're going to make a new material. This is going to be called our mass. I don't know if there's a prefix we're meant to be using for it. So I'm just going to call this a surface material. I'm going to make sure it's obvious that it's mine. Dan's surface material. Okay, great. So for this, we're going to go ahead and we're going to set it up so that we have a few texture samples. Not that way. What's texture sample? T? There you go. So if you hold T and click, you can do it that way as well. So we're going to need a few of these, I'd imagine. We'll set it up with our brick to begin with, I guess. So the first one we want will be our... this one here. We will also want our roughness map. We will also want our normal map. I can't remember what the displacement map is used for. Let me just have a quick Google of that, because I initially thought it was for the older system before the albedo, but I might be wrong with that. Let me just quickly look into that. I've already forgotten what I was looking for. Displacement, yeah. Additional to the normal map allows you to create actual depth offset. Oh, so I think the displacement map is for if you're using like the tessellation. Oh, yes, it is. So that's the bit where the white bits are like saying which bits can be like elevated and move. If you had a flat plane, it changes that flat plane based on the shape of this and actually changes it in the same way that we're having with the grass moving back and forward. So, okay, we will probably have that as a separate one for now then, but I don't know if we will. Oh my gosh, sorry. So bricks, that one, I guess, right? Yeah. So instead of actually having it like this, I realized that the UVs or the texture, is this the thing we promote out if we want to expose this out to parameter? Why has this just become this random one? Oh, default texture there. Okay, interesting. If I do this as the bricks, I don't know if that's exactly what I wanted to do. Well, it's going to be a bit of trial and error. I've not done this in a very long time, and I barely did it in the first place. So this passes the texture in. Now, if I was to make a material instance of this quickly, material instance, brick wall, or Dan's brick wall. Then we're going to apply it to this cube. Bring this over here. Okay. We're going to apply it to this. So Dan's brick wall, we're going to chuck onto that. And what we want to see is with this material instance, do we have... nothing is exposed out here. So I've not done it correctly. Okay. Yeah, the way this param is not like that. Parameters, dynamic parameter. Is that the... no. Yeah, a few people always ask that. No, I don't. I think maybe I need to know more about it, but I have never heard of GMTK apart from people coming in saying, "Are you not doing the jam?" For me, like the biggest jams to me is like the global game jam, which I don't really enjoy as much, and the what do you call it, Ludum Dare. So yeah, the GMTK is a Game Maker Toolkit jam. So it's new, but apparently it's huge on itch. But yeah, I know nothing about it. But no, I'm not doing it at the moment. But maybe if it is a big one, we can plan to try and do it. With jams, I tend to do it, or I like to give everything to a jam. Like I'll dedicate a whole chunk of time to do it. And yeah, someone said it's something about a YouTube channel, and I'd never heard of the guy who'd run the channel, so it could be. So right click. I thought I did do promote to parameter before, or convert to parameter. Convert. Okay, so this is going to be called our albedo, I think. Is that what it's called? Oh, let's just say color texture. Okay, and save that. Right, let's see whether or not this then becomes available on our material instance. Color texture here, yeah. So you tick it and you can change it. This is what the kind of thing that we were looking at. So you can expose these things out. So then I could make a different material. Sorry, I keep alt tabbing, which doesn't work. So let's duplicate this, and this is going to be like a material instance of Dan's wood floor. And in this one, you would just, instead of having to make a new material graph, you can then just change this to wood texture. Oh, there's loads of existing ones as well, but that's okay. Yeah, and that's what we want to do, is we want to expose out about a bunch of parameters so we don't have to play with the graph each time. Albedo is with color info and alpha map. Base color. Albedo is color info and alpha. I got told that albedo doesn't have any light info in it anymore. I'm not too sure. So who is Mark Brown and what's on his YouTube channel, by the way, Marco? Anyway, okay. I can't remember if this is definitely the way that we do it. I think I did have a reference. Let me have a look. I watched some video or listened to some video while I was driving. Alright, so I didn't see the notes he used. I just listened to what he was doing. But I might be able to find that the video and have it up as a reference to get started on the right path. Yeah, this. So to credit, it's to you as well.
Hey guys, welcome.
This is a YouTube video that kind of goes over this sort of stuff. So if you're interested in looking at a video on it, feel free to look into that. Okay, yeah. So he has actually done a similar thing where he just created parameters for each one of these. In the same way that you said. Let me just get the volume off. Not confusing. You right click and convert to parameter. Yeah, sweet. Okay, so we are doing it the right way. There we go. A bit of confirmation is all I needed to make sure we're not going down the wrong way. Albedo is a measure of how much light that hits the surface is reflected without being absorbed. Something that appears white reflects most of the light that hits it and has a high albedo, while something that looks dark absorbs most of the light, indicating a low albedo. All I remember is that this doesn't take into account the lighting, so that, you know, the direction of the light and whether things are in shadow or not. So it's just, if you had absolutely flat, even light looking at an absolutely flat surface, what color would it be? And because that is what color is, right? It's based on light being absorbed and bounced and stuff, right? So I think we may be thinking too much about it. Okay, convert to parameter. So this is going to be our roughness texture. Maybe we should call it map. I'll just call it texture for now. we'll convert this one as well. This was our normal texture, or normals maybe, but and this one was our displacement, wasn't it? Okay, so what we can get with this, really basic, is we can plug in our... Don't know whether we would need to put in the RGBA or not, but if we just put in the roughness into here, you can see that this is shiny at the moment. We'll have to play with that. It's a bit too... the normals would go into here, which will give us a bit more direction. Now look at the difference in that. So it's completely flat there. You put the normals and that tells the light to bounce in different directions, which then gives you this kind of depth, this without actually displacing the... It's not actually not a sphere. It's just the... Yeah, it's lovely. Normal maps are great. And the displacement, that is something that we would use, but for now we're just going to leave it where it is. So, got all of the happy, I don't want to say happy face. It means a bit. So yeah, something we might want to do on the textures is to, if we want it to loop a bit more. So this was another good thing we can do with it. So say that we want to, by default, we have a texture coordinate coming in. So texture coordinate. This is basically the way I thought about this. I'm going to explain it like simply, not that I don't think you guys know, but in case anyone is new to it like me, and some of the things that really help me understand. So texture coordinate, if you imagine what's happening in the scene is like when this gets rendered, you imagine this is our camera. The camera, like for each pixel on the camera, we'll look at what is it, does it need to show. If you imagine it does like a line trace from this part of the camera forward until it hits something, and that's what is going to be shown, right? So what you then have is, say we're hitting this section here. This is where it's intersecting with. It knows where on this texture it needs to read from on this, if that makes sense. So up here is like position 0, 0. Up here is position 1, 1. And based on our texture that we're reading in, when this hits that point, it's telling us where on that scale of 0, 0 to 1, 1 that we're needing to draw. So it's a way of looking at this, the texture coordinate then, where were we? In here. So what we can do with that texture coordinate is we can multiply it. So that when it gets a number and it says that it's, let's say that it's exactly in the middle. So that should be 0.5, 0.5. We can actually change that material, that number, and we can either make it double it, which will mean that we're doubling the size of our texture, essentially. We're saying what should have been displayed there, we're actually going to display further, or the other way around as well. How you doing there, Moop? Good day to you. So let me just get this next tab so I stop making mistakes here. And also we might close these ones that I'm not touching. Okay, sweet. So I think what you can do is you can make a multiplier. So if we just make, is it a float? Or can you just add a param straight? I'm trying to remember. Static. Or would we just do like a number where we do a 1 like that and then we do convert to parameter? Okay, so this would just be like a UV tiling multiplier. But this is a param rather than exposing it out, I think. But what you can do is multiply these, I believe. By default, it just has a normal texture coordinate coming in, but we're going to be changing the coordinate that it is going to be showing on the texture. So if we're looking at the middle of it, instead of showing this middle texture, this middle point here, we're going to adapt where it should be reading from. So if we had a value of 1, let's set this as 1 to begin with. This should give us the exact same result as before. Let's save that. Bjorn. Your excitability is beautiful. Okay, so then if we have our material instance, my brick wall, just bring that out, shall we? Okay, now, do we have access to that? Yeah, okay, UV tiling. Now if we change this to 2, can you see what happened? Yes, exactly that. So because we timed it by 2, if you look at what, if you think about what has happened in here, before when it was reading this position and it was saying we're looking at the middle of the map, so I want to get that value out. We're actually now timesing it. So instead of showing this brick in the middle, we are going to be showing, we're going to shift like everything, squish it all into this half ratio. We're kind of doubling it. We're saying, well, we'd want to see twice as far in this position. And so it squishes it into the space that would have been there and doubled it. I'm probably explaining it very bad, but it's just that the more simply I try and, or the more kind of weirdly I try and explain it, I'm trying to get across to you guys the kind of realization I had of trying to understand what's going on here. So yeah, at the moment, we're not doing the same with everything else, so it looks terrible. You can see, this is how it looks. Used to look. You can see we got the rough map, and we've also got the normal, so it looks like it goes in the middle of this brick. So we're going to apply this to everything. But that helps you see that what used to be this size is now being squished up into this section here. And this just gives us a direct way to scale our textures. And we can split it out into an X and a Y coordinate as well, which is what we're going to be doing. So where are we at? Let's go back to here. So the reality is we would use this going into all of these. So we can pass these into all of them. So if we save that, we can now see in our example that it's matching up now where the kind of the roughness is, etc. Yes, that is definitely in terms of where ours is repeatable, which is nice, but also you need to be aware of things getting cut off like this. What's nice with that is just with this now we can just drag this along and you can get it to a value that you'd like then, which is really cool. With that, I'm to just play with the, you know how long it takes to play in here when we change a value. So here we go. I'll change this to 2. It's got to do this every time because it's reevaluating the whole material / shader graph. However, when you use master materials, anything that isn't changing, it doesn't recalculate. It only recalculates the bits that is like exposed out that you're changing, which is why we're able to see it done so quickly. And so, yeah, that's another benefit of doing this kind of system. Yeah, we could add offset as well. And Bjorn, that's what we want to do. We want to make this material like a generic thing to control our textures that we can use for everything. That's kind of the approach that we're going to go for. So you might also want to scale things X and Y. It depends on the texture. But yeah, for those who kind of like this generic kind of approach is very kind of codey in a way, isn't it? Where you make your generic systems and then you extend a class just to change the odd thing. So let's try and think what we want to do then with this. So this was the tiling parameter. I'm going to actually duplicate this. This is going to be our UV X Y tiling. This is going to be our UV Y type, X tiling, sorry. So then, I think the way that they did this before, I'm trying to Oh, actually, no, we don't want to tile it. Sorry, that is going to scale. That's going to... The texture won't look right if we do it differently. Sorry, I made a mistake remembering what we'd actually do. I think what we'll do is the offset on the X and the Y, not the actual making it squidge down. Because, yeah, you'll lose your texture and you'll have things stretching out, which is not what you really want there. So we're still going to just have our UV tiling scaler. Let's call it multiplier, shall we? But what we're going to do then is we're going to add the ability to offset it. So X offset. And then we'll do a Y offset as well. And this is so that we can control. Remember when we showed how this looks nasty? We can just push it around until it looks right based on the size of our thing that we've got, for example. So we are going to turn this into a 2D array because this is like a texture coordinate. I think this is a 2D thing, is it? Actually, or is it? I'd imagine it is. Does it tell us what it is? Yeah, so I think it is. I'm not 100%, but I think it is a 2D coordinate. I don't know how we can check that. Yeah, here we got we got these two values here. Okay, you can just move them here as well. Sorry, I just realized. So if we moved this way across, yeah. Just wanted to make sure that was doing the thing. So that is exactly what we were talking about earlier. You can expose those out as well if you really wanted to. So you could make it smaller, but it's gonna, you see what I mean? It looks weird. This, on this direction, this is like big and then this is super granular. It looks a bit dodgy doing that, but you could expose that out if you wanted. I'm not too sure whether you could, I guess you would just times the output of this by that if you wanted to do that. Oh, we got the letters U and V denote the axes of a 2D texture because X and Y and Z are already used to denote the axes of 3D objects in model space, while W, in addition to X, Y, and Z, is used in calculating quaternion rotations and common operations in computer graphics. So they just chose two other things, X, Y, like that fit into that, is it? There's no other reason than that. Interesting. Oh, thanks, Bjorn. Nice to know. Oh, I was going to make myself a hot drink as well. I will get to that in a moment. Okay, let's carry on with this trail of thought. So if we wanted to control these UV tilings multiplier, we can actually make two parameters here. So let's do another one. This we're going to do.
You doing all right?
Yeah, we're just building up slowly. And it's not stressful, which is nice. I haven't been stressed once yet today, which is weird. So we want to break this out, I think, into the two values of it. So for the X, we want to then multiply this by the scalar. So we're going to multiply that. Let's bring this back, give ourselves a bit of room. So what I'm trying to do here is to expose out these two values, but because we can't expose them, we're just going to multiply them to do pretty much the same thing. Actually, yes, it will do. I think. We'll have a look how this works now. So we're going to multiply this with our X factor in here. And then we're going to also multiply our V by our Y factor. Maybe I should use U and V as well. I guess that's the terminology we're using. But anyway, so these then are gonna. Can we like how do you combine make float 2? I think that's what we'd want to do, right? We pass these in, then we pass that in as our out. Okay, so at the moment What are the values of these? So we have a 1 for that. We have a 1 for that. Let's save that at the moment then. And then let's look at how this changes when we use these values. So I want to change my X scalar. Yeah. Here we go. We're achieving that very thing, but now it's exposed out. So we don't want to... Probably, I doubt you'd do that. But there might be the odd occasion where you might want to tweak it. And it's nice that you don't have to go and make your own custom material for it now. You could just, it's just a value for you to change. Okay, so we're going to keep those as 1. We'll probably untick it for now. Put that back to the... Actually, it is a bit chunky. I quite like 2. We'll keep it as 2 for now. Okay, so that was the scalar side of things we've done. So we might just... I don't know whether we should comment this stuff, but we can try. So this allows us to expose the X and Y tiling separately. Okay, and let's just move these things out. I don't care how big the graph is, let's just try and make it clear, I guess. This is interesting to follow along. I've done a ton of shader coding, but never used node-based. I've done neither, so this is my first touch of this stuff. You instantly see the difference without a recompile. In many ways, you don't have to know the complexity of the data. I might have to give Unity shader graph a shot. Wonder if it works at 2D. Might make some 2D lightning systems for your current project. I wouldn't be able to say yes or no for that, but I'd imagine it would. X and G OpenGL like engines better and fell in love with the old UDKA material editor and would not use other stuff. It's a lot of what you've built up experience with, I guess, as well, right? Time for me to take off. No problem. Thanks very much for hanging out, Marco. You're a good man. Thanks for your support on Twitter the other day as well, dude. It was nice. Take care, Marco. I hope your wizard hat is feeling good today. Okay, so the next thing we want to do is these offsets, right? So for the offset to work, we need to take what our value coming out of this is, and we're going to add to it, basically. So let's take these. Move this back. So we've now got our offset values. And so we want to... Do we combine them? I think here. Yeah, I think we do. Do we just make float out of it? Or do we add them? What's... I can't remember the... And my gut feel here would be different. Right, what we want to do is to push it along, right? So we got to think mathematically what we want to happen. So we want to tell it to wherever it would look, we want to pass on an extra value. So I'd imagine it would be once we do this, or would it just be from this before it's passed in? I guess it could go in any place really, couldn't it? But I think we definitely need to do a addition at least. So let's add, we want to combine these together. So do we do like a make two? I guess. Put these together and we want to add that to the existing output. Let's see how that works. And then we have our multiplier afterwards. Let's see if that works. Save this. Okay, so we've got our UV offsets here. X offset, Y offset. Let's see what happens here. So if we move this. Yeah, excellent. See, we can move it left and right and it just lines up where we want it. So there we go. We might choose we want it around there so that it ends on a nicer bit at the top. Maybe a tiny bit different. You can change the slider values At the moment, it's hard for me to get the granularity. Whatever is the word I'm looking for. Oops. Well, that is okay, but we might go... I think that is actually the brick cut off fine there. So if we did it like that, then at least we have a brick at the top here. And it's evened out nicely. We might do our X offset then. We want this to... It's never going to be perfect here, is it? I don't think there's a right starting place for this. So the X is going to be tougher for us, but we just choose one of a place here. Let's just go with that for now. The top one looks nice at least. So now we have our offsets at least. Congratulations, Skittle, on acquiring pizza. Fish and chips. Oh, congratulations, Napoleon, on fish and chips. I have nothing. A hot drink that I'm due to make, but we're not going to do that yet until we make a little bit more progress. Okay, so this bit, we're just going to move this down and we're going to comment this to be our offset. Like so. I was wondering, could we do it back here just to see if it would still work? So we're going to try and disconnect. Oh, no. Try and do. Yeah, let's just disconnect this. Let's move these back here. Could we just do that as well and have the same impact? Save and let's have a look. Where is the material of this? Did I accidentally close it? So let's browse to this brick wall here. Okay, so we are now gonna play again with this, I guess, and see if it... Yeah, it still works, doesn't it? So you can have it before or after. It does make sense. I just wanted to make sure that my logic was correct here. Wait. Isn't he hungry? Dan is a little hungry. I had a bowl of oats this morning. I'll sort out some noms after the stream. It's no problem. Okay, so that's good. I will keep it. I think I'll keep it over here. It's clean. Move these up. And then I guess we're going to comment what this is as well. So this is just our... It's getting it together, which is cool. I'm quite a big fan of like these comment blocks. When you're looking back at it, it does help. Especially when you're looking like at a zoomed out bit. Okay, sweet. So the next thing we'd want to do maybe is look at, I said a tint thing to do that we could expose out. So if we want... Hello.
How about some samba dancing trees?
Uh-oh. Let me get your screen up. Hold on. Where has it gone? I've popped it out, but I can't see the... I found it. It was hiding. Look at this tree having a right old party. Bam ba bam ba bam ba bam ba bam bam bam. The golden Cuban Why? Okay, so it's moving without breaking at the moment, at least, right?
Yes, and I use the simple grass wind to achieve that. I don't know how we can achieve it with the
With the
panna.
noise thing. Oh, with the panner, yeah. Well, that's okay. Well, yeah, I'm sure we can still do our gradient and it'd still look good.
Yeah, now I will combine this with
Sweet. Cool. Good job, dude.
the thingy.
I like the dance. Very cute. Okay. So we want to now think about how we could change the color of it. And if we've got the color here, we just got to think of these are a bunch of color values. And if we want to like lighten and darken it, you could just come up, if we hold 3 and click, that gives us a color. So say that we wanted to like darken this out, we could just make all of these like a mid-tone, like this. And then if we multiply these together, now did that change? If you do it with 1, if you do it with 0, it should give us nothing, right? So if we do this, it would be black. Yeah, okay, good. Because we're not changing it with the texture thing, you can still see that. We're not changing the normals and the roughness. We move it up a little bit. Oh, I guess the problem here as well is, yeah, it has darkened it somewhat. You're just multiplying the values. You're making them less. You're bringing them closer to 0 is one way to think about it. So what we can do is you could use this as a way to like tint the color somewhat as well, I think. So if we wanted our bricks to be blue, you can times it together in order to give it somewhat of a tint. So you could desaturate the color texture. You could desaturate the color texture. You can add a tint to a grayscale. Oh, I see what you're saying. So if we took out the... how could we get this desaturated? That's interesting. So like this would be like a simple tint. And if we expose this out as a color. We wanted it green. We multiply it by that and it becomes green all of a sudden, right? So let's just, for now, just do this as a simple tint. But we might look at doing that tint that you just said, because that would actually grayscale it and allow you to change the color of it, which is nice. So we'll have a look if we can desaturate that. Let's expose this for now, though. Convert to parameter. And this is going to be our color texture. We'll call it simple tint because we might make 2. So by default, this should be 11111. Because we don't want to change it. Oh, actually, default has gone to 000. So instead, we want to do that instead. Okay. And then what that means is we could make different. So this is, once again, just to reinforce if it hasn't been clear, we can make different types of brick wall. So I might have Dan's brick wall here. I might want to make a new material instance, brick wall, and then I might do like, remember in Funnel Runner we had different color walls using the same brick thing. We can just go into this texture and all we'd need to define is our this color here. We can go in and say, hey, we want it to be green. Like that. Here we go, done. So now, with just changing one thing, we've got 2 different textures, which changes those, and we can just apply that texture then to the... So now we've got green bricks. But yeah, you're right, it is applying it to the existing red, which means when we multiply it, we're already taking in that RGB value. So it's not purely going to change to the color that we're selecting. So if we find a way to grayscale that, that would be interesting. So let's have a look. Is there a way you can... to change this to grayscale? Desaturation. Ah, interesting. What's the fraction here? Luminance factors. I have no idea what that. How that changes things. I feel we should keep it as the default. You can see what it does actually. I guess is it choosing maybe what color is more treated as the whites? I'm not 100% there, so we'll leave it as it was. I guess this is one way to do it, right? We've desaturated it there, and then we could multiply this out. And I'm wondering if you can do some like little Boolean tools. So if we do this, and we'll rename this real tint. And let's bring this back up. Bring this out here, I guess. We can move this across. Sells more space to work with. Okay, and we want this. Take this, which would then go into this.
Perfect.
Don't like that it's called color texture. Shouldn't be texture. Okay. What we should have now is if we change the color of this, we more genuinely get change of it's no longer inheriting the red as well. So is that what you meant there, Apollyon, I assume, right? Yeah, I think that's nice. That's one way to do it if we wanted to completely do it. Cool. That's something I wasn't aware of, so I've learned something new. So maybe we should just call this Desaturated Tint. Oh. Desaturated Tint. And then what I'd like to do is maybe to put a switch in here to say like, hey, which one should you use? And maybe we use the color. And based on that, we would use this or not. Yeah, there must be a way to do that. Okay, so instead, we're just going to say color tint. We have one value for color tint. We're going to get rid of this one. We no longer want that as a parameter. And then we need a Boolean that is going to decide whether or not we use this desaturation or not. So how can you, isn't it like a static bool parameter? Use desaturated tint. And then you can do some logic. Is it like a switch? Okay, so if it's true, no, hang on. I don't know how the switch works here. Oh, no. This should go into here, I think. So if it's true, we just want to take in this. This is what we're doing, I believe. Whereas if it's true, we want to take in this value. So this looks a bit spaghetto, but we'll try and tidy this up now. So this is for the desaturation one. Yeah, that's nice. So by default, it'll use a simple tint, but we can put in some logic here to control whether or not we want it to use that desaturating approach. Let's save that. Let's see whether or not we can see the difference then in our instance, which would be nice. So we are not going to use the green wall. We just won't mention the green wall. Look, yes, exactly. The bit between it, exactly. Yeah, but you could use a mask to change that Skittles, which would be interesting, right? So you could use a mask so that you only apply it to the brick parts of it as well. So that would be an interesting thing to try and do. Hey, the front line. Nice to see you. Let's try this out first, though, shall we? So let's get my normal brick wall. And we want to go and... Right, where's the colour for the... expose that the colour property? Hold on. Hold on. Color tint. This is... Oh, is this a parameter? Convert to constant? No. Yeah, I'm okay that it's not a real wall. I just googled brick texture. I don't care. Let's... I'm wondering where my color has gone. This color tint property. What happened to we stopped running the old one because basically because I stream less, I have less viewers, and so the main people, the cool community who are still about, had got to a point where they'd all kind of won all of the awards, and it was like the end of the month. It was just messy. Like I mean, I couldn't. The system that I set up wasn't long-term sustainable for a smaller viewership. And also we started working on a new one in Unreal, and so I decided to take down the old one, and we will relaunch the new one at some point this year in Unreal. We've had some help to extend it. It wasn't very expandable. I wanted to add new content to it, but I couldn't. And this will make it so it's like a web API as well, so people can make little tools so you can check like your cards with a phone app or on a website, or you could go and view the stats without it all being stored locally on my machine. So it's for a good reason, but yeah, it only shows if the bool is true. What, this material? Oh, is it because it's only used? No, I don't think it does. I still have that, if that's what you mean. That's like how you start making your own one. And then there is like the rules, that's somewhere else. The bool is still false. Oh, I see what you mean. Ah. Okay, why is that only available in here? Oh, it's because I've done this wrong. All right, okay. I've done a mistake here. It's only used here, but it shouldn't be. This color should be used between both of them. So this is going to be the desaturated variant of it. And then we would make a normal tint, which would basically be the same. We would just take the multiply here. We would take this out. Take this out here. And this would go into the false. There you go. Yeah, that's my bad there. So this would just be the simple tint, I guess. So if we were to save that, hopefully now, whether or not we're using that, this stays here now. Great. Great, great, great. But we want this, the default value of this to be 111 as well. We were just testing, so let's shift that up here. Let's set, is the alpha set to, I guess we're not using the alpha, so it doesn't matter, but still. Okay, so we're going to go into here, we're going to look at this, and now what we should be able to do is to change the color tint. And if we wanted to make it blue, like so, is this not using my... Okay, there we go, sorry. But then if we want to use a desaturated tint, is there a difference? I would have thought there would have been a difference. But I'm not seeing a difference here. Oh, we're not ticking that. I'm sorry. There's the difference we were looking for. So this is desaturated. Thank you for the follow, by the way, Bakji. Welcome. I get so confused with a Boolean that you have to tick to enable before you tick what the value is. Yeah, that's easy mistake. So there you can see the red is still kind of carried through on this one. This one is completely just kind of as if it's made out of green plasticine in a way. Team Ultrahal. Oh, Ultrahal, long time no see. Yeah, so that's cool. Now you can group these into parameter groups. I can't remember how to do that, so we're gonna have a little look now. In how we do that. I'm actually gonna put the kettle on. I did say I'd wanted some progress before I put the kettle. How are you getting on, Brainerd?
Fine. I actually got the tree working.
Let me get your screen on my screen while I'm just making this cup. I've got wireless headphones so I can hear you. Oh yeah, you can see the base is staying completely still. Got that movement on the green parts of it.
Yes. And then I realized, so actually the original tree was smaller, the mesh. And when I scale it up, I realized that shader isn't affecting it as I expected to. Then I added this bit where, so I get the object scale and it's a uniform scale, so I can get any of the scale axis here. And I used the scale X and multiplied it with the intensity constant here. And
do you know, I saw a different video about displacement yesterday, and they used that object scale as well. Because in order to, regardless of the size of what you've got, and it stops you having to put in massive values sometimes in order to see a difference based on the size of the mesh. So, okay, that's cool.
Yeah, and maybe this node here is using world position or something. Maybe that's what we were missing.
Absolute world position.
Yeah, so gets the positions of the vertices.
Right.
And plays with them. I don't know how exactly, but I will research that.
Yeah, okay, cool. Thank you for sharing, Matt. Just move that out of the way. I'll get you that document now, Frontline. Hold on. I think you mean this document. Oh, it was in the links. You found it. Just after I went to find it. How dare. I need a very quick beer back as well. Just pop to the toilet quickly. I won't be a moment. Okay, we are back. Hello, hello. Right, yeah. Okay, cool. So I like this. We were going to have a look how we can group these parameters together. I forgot how to do it, but I think you click on the color tint maybe and the bool. And then group parameter. Did you just type it in? See if that changes it. Yes, excellent. Okay, so I guess we should probably grab each of these as well. And we'll give these the base textures as a group. So that should put those there. Sweet. Yeah, no problem, Frontliner. Thank you. Yeah, it's I took a lot of inspiration from Windybeard. He had a bit of a stream game where you were a drilling through these bricks at the bottom of the screen. And if you got to the end, you got more of a reward. But I wanted to turn it into, like, I love the old, like, RPG kind of style. Like Diablo, choose your character, and you have that kind of attribute. So I just wanted to turn it into something simple. I think it gives a bit more, everyone can have a bit of a personality or a character. And I think that's how I wanted the viewers to kind of feel it. So yeah, we've started to make a 3D version of it. Where we're using the 2D sprites still, but in a 3D world. It looks amazing. It looks great. I haven't done as much work on it. Actually, I've done barely any work on it this year, unfortunately. But it isn't something we're forgetting about. I'm very thankful to the community. I opened up to the community and asked for anyone who wanted to get involved. There's been people who've always asked, can they help? And I've said no. But I'm trying to be less selfish or kind of controlly, whatever way you see it. Okay. So we've exposed the color out in this is our super duper material that we're making that allows us to control lots of different things at once. That's one thing that we've done. The next thing that we could work on then, I guess, would be to work on how much we want the, I guess on this we could probably expose out if we want it to be metallic and stuff like that, because we've got these values here, right? The metallic and specular, which is just going to be a 0 or a 1 really. So would we can promote to parameter? And we'll do the same here. Well, I don't know if we... Specular is for non-metallic, right? And that tends to be... If I remember correctly, isn't it the way that the light bounces off in slightly different directions, so it kind of makes it more matted, I guess you describe it. So we'll just do metallic for now, and we will, for bricks, they should be 0. So I think we'll do the default value of 0, and that should change our bricks to be less shiny. Uh-oh. I mean, it still looks pretty shiny, doesn't it? But that could be based on our roughness. We could scale that. So that we can give a factor of how rough we want it to be. Yeah, multiply the roughness. Yeah, I think that was one of the things we were going to be doing. I'm just interested so people can see as well. We do make that metallic. There's quite an obvious difference. How cool does that look, by the way? But no. So just because it's shiny doesn't mean it's metallic. It's definitely doing its thing, but it's the roughness. It's the way that the light bounces off of it. Just out of curiosity, I just want to So that will get rid of the shininess, the specularity of it, right? So a 0 means that all the light doesn't bounce straight back. Whereas I think 1 will be the opposite. That it's a very shiny material by default. So if you think of this on our roughness, whenever you have a white bit, it's going to mean that the light shines directly back. So I think, yeah, 0.5 is the default. You're correct there. That'll take us back to where it was. But using metalness should, yeah, it's only if it's non-metallic. And I was wondering whether or not we could put that logic in there where we could just say like switch static switch. So we basically want to say if, can we do like conditional logic on this? So if okay, maybe we can. Basically what you're saying is if this has a value in there, it's not going to do anything. I was just wondering, I'm still curious about whether you can, how you would do this sort of logic where we say, hey, if metallic is equal to, and then if we just have a const of 1 in here. Just click 1. Do. So if it's equal to 1, then we want to use our specular. If metallic is not equal to 0, none. Met equals 0. Confused what you're... let me just think for a moment, sorry. So if our metallic value is equal to 1. Oh yeah, I guess it would, we would feed in only in that, yeah, I see what you're saying. It'd be better if we did this. Say, hey, if it's equal to 0, then we actually want to pass in a value. And that's the only time we would pass in a value. I don't think we need that switch there then, do we? If A, great. And if metallic equals 0, it uses spec, else it uses metallic. Yeah, the thing is though, they go into 2 different nodes, so it's saying like we need to take care of these other situations. So that's a little tricky. I'm not too sure what I guess we would just 0.5 into those. This isn't important. This is more of like us trying to see how you could do that Boolean logic, I guess. So if we change this to just 0.5, which is the base, we could just plug that into both of these. It may be unnecessary, but let's just group this together. Practicing switch logic. There you go. Just so it's clear why we did this. You don't need to do this. I don't recommend, if anyone is trying to learn through doing this, to, you don't copy this bit along.
Nice.
What have you got? Is that a very reflective cube? Or is it transparent?
Nice.
Is it like water?
Yeah, it's like ice.
Yeah. But you're looking through it rather than reflecting back, right?
Yeah.
But it's just
actually it's also reflecting a little bit, but it's
That's pretty
also
cool.
transparent. Let's make it opaque and see what's happening. I don't understand this refraction bit. But yeah, it looks cool.
So, refraction for the win, says Apollyon. Let's see how yours look before I go back to what I was trying to do. Oh, it looks more like kitchen foil, I think. Oh, hang on, give me a second. Or is it because you don't have light in your scene?
No, I do have.
Oh, well, yeah, you must have light.
I mean, what about the rest of the objects?
Yes, exactly.
This is taking too long.
Yeah. Tell me when it's loaded. I just
maybe...
alt-tabbed from your screen a sec.
It loaded, but it doesn't mean not.
Hang on. Go put the block between you and the tree. Put the block between you and the tree.
It's difficult.
Or just move the camera. So okay, so it is still looking through it.
Yes, definitely. And I guess it's reflecting the skybox.
I'm guessing so.
Yeah, as you can see.
Yeah, I don't quite know what's going on, to be honest, with what you've done, but
it probably has something to do with the these refraction values.
I may have a look at it in a bit. At the moment, I don't want to try and get confused like that, just because I was in the middle of my basic stuff.
I'll let you to go do your own stuff.
Okay, so we were talking about this roughness and having a scaler for it, right? Skittles in chat, by the way, said 1.33 for water.
Yeah, I know. I looked at a tutorial. I realized that.
Okay. So, yeah, the roughness we want is going to be how much of this. So we want to add in a multiplier here. So I'm guessing we're going to come up with this. Oh, maybe it's easier just to do a multiplier node. That's this in. And promote this. Or convert to. Oh no, that is fine. This is going to be called our roughness multiplier. So let's start with that and try and make some sense out of it after that. Make sense to just move this maybe up here out the way. Yeah, that's cleaner for me. I mean, we could probably just move it up here. Move this back in then. Okay, so if we have this multiplier, the multiplier by default is, you can see it doesn't actually, yeah, it's shinier with that one on anyway. Okay, so let's save that and we'll have a look with our material instance and see what happens. So we come back into here, let's get our brick wall. And we want to look for that roughness value that I just, roughness multiplier. Well, first off, let's see with that metallic. Yeah, we can make it metallic. Also, we should probably look, while I remember, that metallic value. It's either on or off. You don't tend to. Default value 0, min slide. Yeah. Oh. No, I don't think you can make it go up by 1 each time. Okay, there's no problem, I guess. I guess you could make it an integer rather than a float. Don't know if you can make a. Yeah, I don't know. Okay, it doesn't matter that much. Let's go back to here then. the roughness multiplier here. You can see how much the light is kind of coming off of it as we change these values. Okay, so it still kind of impacts it as we get to like around 2. Okay, but I think I remember when I learned about this in this other video before. Oh, what's going on? Uh-oh, I can predict a crash is on its way. Please stop. Just let me put in a 1 and stop. I'm all a bit confused at the moment. Let's make sure we saved everything. Save, apply, all of those things. Save our level as well. File, save all. Editor started hiccuping and I don't trust it. Maybe add to roughness, you say? Oh, right. Sorry, so I see what you mean. So we can just add a flat amount to it to make it more or less rough. Okay, no problem. Much love, Brain. Thanks for being here. We'll try that. The multiplier should work in the same way. You could use the desaturated image as a reference. Yeah. Well, we've already got a roughness image already, though, dude. Just in case that wasn't clear. So we do have one. It's more of just how to amplify that. So we've got one. It's just if we want to change or impact that. So yeah, I think really what we'll do is we'll multiply it, and then we will. I think you could clamp as well, so you can set there's a minimum and a maximum amount. That I think, yeah, that's looking over a reference. I can see that's what they ended up doing. So that'll stop things getting too shiny or too rough as well. So if we made a clamp node here, then we promote each of these. Roughness clamp min and roughness clamp max. Add those in, and we can pass this into the roughness then. This gives us a bit of control over our roughness map and how it's interpreted then. So let's just move all of these along a little bit. And then we will let's save that and let's see how it'll impact this, I guess. Oh, did we set default values? So the min of 0, the max should be 1. Otherwise you're getting nothing there. Okay, so here we go. Let's gonna see what we can get from this. So let's turn all of these on. The roughness multiplier. It's mainly we're seeing the way that the light. And let's try and look on a surface where we have like 3 points and 3 different lights on it. Okay, so if it's super rough, it's basically, you can see there's less light coming off of it. It all looks that color. Whereas if it's just the normal roughness here. Okay, so So as a minimum, I'm trying to remember the lower the amount. At the moment, we got like the bricky bits shiny. Oh, let's have a look at this texture. So yeah, the darker it is, the less reflective it is. So 1 would be well, not reflective, that's the wrong word. But yeah, 1 would be smooth. And 0 would be non-smooth, right? So what this should mean is if we were to say, hey, we want to limit it. Mind you, if we had a multiplier, then that's going to take everything. Yeah, I guess the multiplier, if we do half of it, it should make everything a lot more shiny. Yeah. So now you can see that it looks like a tile in a bathroom. So if we take that back up to 1, yeah, you can see that that goes off of it. So we might set a limit, though, that we don't want this value to go beneath a certain threshold. So if we change this to, I don't know, 0.5. Yeah, I'm not too sure what roughness value we'd be happy with. But it means that you can let some of it accelerate. You can let the rough bits be rougher, but without the... You're applying both, I guess? Yeah, I kind of get it, but I'm trying to think whether... So the max value you're going to get here is 1 anyway, right? On the... So if we just set this to... yeah, this would be the contrast, I guess, would it? If you're setting a clamp on the top, so you're saying whatever was 1, we times it by 2, but clamp it to 1. So that would keep that stuff at 1, but it would make anything that was like a 0.1 value, you times that by 2, that'd be 0.2, and it wouldn't get clamped. So you're kind of, you're narrowing your range, I guess, right? Try set the spec to 0. And then play with the roughness multiplier. Yeah, I can. We don't see anything. Let's get rid of these for now. This upper is a bit of a... Let me find the video, because I remember it was explained why they used
is let's do our roughness texture.
I won't put it on screen for the sake of...
Pretty straightforward. We'll come out of our roughness into a multiplier, because we are going to want to have some control over sort of how smooth, how rough our texture is going to be. Let's call this scalar roughness power. Set it to 1 by default, so that there's no change in the default base material. And then out of this multiplier, we're going to feed it into a clamp, which, as the name suggests, just clamps our output values between a range of 0 to 1. And as this is the roughness it's a desaturated map, it's just got black and white values. It's going to set the ceiling and the floor so that we're not going up or down too far. You could probably skip this node if you want to play with some more outrageous values, but for the time being, all we're going to need to do is just leave it at the default 0 and 1. Although we can make 2 more scalars. Call this one roughness ceiling.
Yeah, apologies for the delay. I just want to see the explanation on this.
W, just for convenience. And this one is the roughness floor. So our ceiling is going to be set to 1, our floor is going to be set to 0, and we'll plug in our ceiling into max and our floor into min. And with that done, let's grab all of our roughness scalars here, set a new group, call it roughness controls. If I could type today, there we go, roughness controls, and then the result of our clamp into roughness. There we go. Oh, and in the previous scene here, see we're kind of getting a bit of a shaded, bit of a mute sort of look here, but if we hold in L and move around, we can control this light here and see how the surface is being affected. In fact, we'll go back to the sphere. I like the look of the sphere in the preview. Cool. Now, And I do this quite a bit in a lot of my videos, so you can look back on basically when here's our normal map. And
okay, and that's all that's actually said about it. So I guess here the idea is that it's just because it's between 0 and 1, because it's just a grayscale map, that having anything having anything more than 0 1 isn't gonna actually be any different, I guess. But yeah, we'll leave them as their defaults here. But I think what it's doing is you're just, if we think of it like I said earlier, that you're pushing the grays up, so that would make it less. You're either pushing like the blacks and the grays closer towards the white spectrum if you multiply it up. Let's turn that specular onto 0.5 as well, the default. And then this roughness multiplier here. So yeah, this is it by normal, right? So you can either times it, and that will push only the existing value, the lower values up, which means the darker values, it should become more shiny, I believe. Oh, it became less shiny. That became more shiny. So let's understand that. Let me think about that. So the roughness, oh, that would make the roughness less. Yeah. If we're feeding something to roughness and we're lowering the value, then the rough, yeah, that makes more sense. But let me just try and think how it's impacting that actual, this that we've got. Maybe the darker bits are what's meant to be reflective then. Let's look at these bricks. Which bits of it are... hard to tell actually, they're all pretty shiny. Depends on like what. Okay, but something's clear here, right? Is that the shininess between brick and the mortar is less, and this is definitely grayer. So I think the closer to black it is, is the more rough it is. So if we reduce, okay, yeah, is this, I think this makes sense. Sorry, I need to do this. I need to try and make some math sense. I don't like the black box stuff, and it's important to try and understand the maths behind this sort of stuff. Yeah, I think you could do a 1 minus thing. But I just let me think about the logic a sec. So if the whiter bits are shinier and we times them, we half everything. No, I think no, that is right actually. Yeah, if you half everything, you're making the darker colors. Sorry, this is my brain really struggling with this, but I need to go through it. Give me a sec. No, because I'm thinking if you had a value of 0.5 and you times it by, let's say 0.4, let's say, and you times it by 0.5, that would change that 0.4 then to 0.2, right? So that would make what was once rough more rough. So that I'm confused by that. Yeah, that's what I'm getting confused by, Bjorn, is that like, if I show you our roughness map, these bits are more rough, right? So the grayer it is, or the blacker it is, the rougher it is. At the moment, it seems here, right? So, based on that logic, if we multiplied it by 2, you'd imagine that everything would become more reflective. However, it's working the opposite way, which is why I'm struggling to comprehend it. Because what would have been previously a darker value at 0.4, we times that by 2, that then gets to 0.8. Yeah, so is it? Okay. Yeah, maybe that would be an explanation for it, for sure. Like, sorry, Bjorn, I understand the logic of like 2 times the roughness, it would be more rough. Yeah, it's just I was reading this incorrectly as if white was the shiniest, but I don't think it is. White is the rough bits. And that would make sense. No, it wouldn't, because the bricks are more shiny though. Just plug in scalar values to the test. What do you mean by the scalar value? Sorry, dude. We have a multiplier. Is that what you mean by the... In the master material. That's what I thought, Bjorn, but then the maths doesn't make sense. That if you times it by 2, it shouldn't get more rough. It should get lighter. It should get more shiny. So, but sorry, Apollyon, what do you mean to do, dude? Yeah, that's what I'm stuck on, Bjorn, at the moment. I think we're going down the same logic hole. But yeah, Nils, you were saying... Use a scalar value. What do you mean by a scalar value, dude? Sorry, I don't... Just this. Oh, just a pure value in. I see what you mean. Sorry. Okay. So, you mean roughness flat override. And we plug this into roughness. So it's either going to be very rough or very... Right, that's a good way to find out. If we go into this now, and we look at our brick wall here, this override here. So 0 is shiny, 1 is rough. 0 is shiny, 1 is rough. Yeah. So that does mean, I was just, maybe it's to do with the normal maps as well, which was making the, it very well could be the normals that's affecting which way the light is shining, which makes it less shiny as well. Yes, correct, Bjorn. Like, so those 0 to 1 on colors are just a normalized 0 to 255 in the color index. Yeah. It just didn't look like that on the map. Clamp will just set more of a cutoff, not map range. The way I see the clamp behaving here is that it will... Yeah, it doesn't normalize it. I agree with you. Hold on. So if we right. So Nils, you're saying that you think the map has been done wrong. I don't know if it has it? 1 is rough. Oh yeah, no, these should be more shiny. It is. I agree. We should probably flip that. Okay, so if we did, I don't know what the -1 is. It that? Yeah, if we do that instead, we can delete the scaler now. That's why we're not using that. And let's group all of these together and give it a group of roughness. On the RGB outfit, not the UVs. Oh. Yeah, sorry. So move it across, you mean? 1 minus the output. Yeah. That should give us a way to look at this. So now we look at the roughness multiplier. The lower it is, it's shinier. And also, I guess really what we're looking at here, I mean, we can take this to 5, right? And then say multiply it by 5. So it should be super rough now. We want to bring it down. It becomes more shiny. But what we want to see here is that, is it the bricks that are shiny and the... Yeah, I'd say so. Not really seeing shine on the middle bits. Oh, this is a better... You can kind of see there, but... Yeah, but you can kind of see the... Although, I'm now starting to see it, like, it doesn't seem like there's any shininess to it. Based on that roughness map. Right? Has that helped? I'm not sure. Now it doesn't feel like it's... Oh, hang on. It was metallic. Oh, no. That was just that value coming through. The issue is the map. It's for a different setup for specular. Unity uses spec setup, uses Unreal uses roughness. The thing is, though, it was called a roughness map. You know what I mean? But anyway, I think we've wasted enough time on this for now. I just feel like now we don't have any shininess. Yeah, the same thing but inverted, but we've inverted this roughness map. That's all I'm saying, like, isn't it? You see the difference with the -1? Well, I kind of can, but I also feel, Nils, that we don't get any shininess now. Even on, like, the roughness multiplier of 1, it all looks as rough. Yeah, okay. Fair enough, Skittles. Whereas if I take the... You need to go below 0 to shine. Below 0? Okay, that seems weird. Is it because we're doing 1 minus? It does seem counterintuitive, this map. I don't know whether it's just the map or whether it's just a... But it's okay to... Yeah, I guess because 0 is... If we do this by half... You can see there's some shininess there, is it? Yeah, on the edges. Yeah, okay, so we get that back then. So at 1 we use the map defaults. Lower we want the darker part shiny. I'm sorry, I'm getting confused. Maybe, I don't know if I feel I'm getting confused by the explanations as well. And it's just leading to probably bad, not the best thing to be watching either. I just feel like we haven't inverted it. If we'd inverted it, we wouldn't have to go below 0 for anything. It would just be 0 to 1. Like, it feels weird that if we have a roughness of 1, there's 0 shininess. When you press escape, does it take you back to the top of the page? So this is 0 to 1. Can you see it shiny on 0? And then 1 is rough. Oh no, rough of 0 is smooth. Yeah. Back to the slider to see there's no slider. I don't. Yeah, I think it's that we've inverted the map. You shouldn't have to go to 0. You shouldn't have to go to 0 under. That's not inverting it. It feels like something's gone wrong. And I feel like I'm getting to a point where I've done something that I don't feel like I understand. And I don't like that because everything up to date we're kind of understanding. If this is the map values, we're doing 1 minus that. So what it's going to do is whatever was black before becomes 1. And whatever was 1 before, white before becomes... sorry. Whatever was black becomes white. And whatever was white becomes black. Right, so it's flipping it. That's what this does. You can preview it. It's a lot whiter than I expected. I guess this is a lot grayer than... So maybe that's why, is because none of it is really dark on here, so we're not seeing any shininess. While it's its default setting. In this view, I thought that there was some whites, but I guess it's just in contrast. Shading shaders, casting shadows. Hello there, Bobek. Oh, Bobek, how are you? Alright, so that's what was confusing me. It's not broke, it's just when we multiply it by 1, we don't really have any blacks to have any shininess. We shouldn't typically need this though, because normally our roughness map shouldn't be that way. So for now, we're going to get rid of it. Just because our map should be correct in the first place. So the purpose of the clamps here is just if we wanted to stop things from ever getting to this level of shiny. So this level of shiny in this setup is the higher value, right? So let's go back to here. Save that. We're no longer flipping it. Where's our multiplier here? Right, so this is the normal setup now, right? You can see that there's, from this light here, we've got some shininess, right? Okay, so if we want to keep everything as it is, the roughness, but we want to say, hey, that's too much shine for that. We could say, hey, clamp this to like 0.25. Damn it. Oh, I think we got to do it the other way around, isn't it? Because of the way that it's set up. We'd have to say, hey, we want to set this to 0.75. Can I see? Oh, it has to go really way down before you get any shine. Okay, yeah, you can still see it working. You're basically clamping. You're not changing the bits that are rough, but you're changing the bits which are shiny. Yeah, I think we'll move on. Sorry, this has all been on for ages. The guy saying to use clamp in that video. Yeah, I mean, I think the clamp hasn't caused much of an issue here. I think really the... Zero is shiny. Yeah, whereas 1 is rough. Sorry, I think I understand like the idea of what was being said. So here, if we don't want anything to be shiny, that shiny, we would take this up. And you don't change the roughness of the normal stuff. You just change how shiny, the maximum amount of shininess. I think that's okay. I understand the idea. Yeah, it's clamping it. It's not changing the overall strength. If you want to change the overall strength, you would use this multiplier, but then you would need to up the clamp as well. Yeah, so you can see with this is a good example. If we do this, this makes it more shiny, right? But the level of shininess in this middle bit does not change. Let's zoom. I don't know if we can zoom. But if you just look at like by here, this middle bit that is shiny already doesn't become more shiny because we're clamping it at that certain. It can't go lower than 0.25. So that's all we're controlling there. I feel, yeah, that's fine. I'm good. I feel all right. We're going to leave those and we're going to move on. And I'm going to change this from being green bricks. I'm sick of them being green bricks. Let's just get them back to white, shall we? And not use the desaturated. There we go. We got proper bricks again. Is there like a strength intensity? Oh man, lighting makes everything look great. Everything's fine. There's no need to panic, everyone. No, thank you for being patient with me. I know it's it could be a bit, it can be frustrating when you're trying to help by typing in chat and I'm not getting what you're trying to convey. So I appreciate the patience. Okay. So following on from that then, I do actually need to wrap up soon. I realize we've been going 3 hours. But we'll try and finish off this one material first. Good. Thank you, Bjorn. So what else could we do in here? I'm trying to remember what else that was done in that video now. I've completely gone blank with all of that the stuff we were looking at. me skim through. Ah, yes, he does something cool with the lerps that I think is the normal maps. Let me try and remember exactly how it's done. So it's basically a way of you can make things more flat or not through using this. This is cool. I really like this. He says he tends to do it on all of the normal maps. It gives you some control over how exaggerated it is. So the way that it went ahead is the way that it was done. Sorry. Let's move these down. So because the way the normal map works, if we go and have a look at this, the blue bits are flat, and like red means light from one direction, like for X and Y, I think you say. Can't remember. And then sorry, the X, and then the kind of greens and the purple means Y. So yeah, you can see how the colors are changing if you imagine which way the light is kind of hitting on these, or which way the light would kind of bounce off here. So what you can do is if you want to exaggerate the difference between like how much things are poking out from the very baseline, the float blue color. So it's like RGB 001 would be like completely flat. So to prove that, let's do what Nils recommended earlier, right? So if we wanted to do our normal map here, we can just create a scaler quickly here. And this is just going to be our normal override, flat override. Plug this in. Oh, actually, this should have been... It's the wrong thing to do. We want to do one of these. My bad. Like this. Put that into the normal. Okay, so if we have it as that, we can see that, that we lose any depth at all. Everything is flat. Completely. You don't get that sense that it goes in at all. So that is the flattest that it can go. That. So if instead now we'll take this color here. Actually, we'll use this. And we can take the blues and we're going to use a lerp node. So how was this explained before? Oh, no. So a lerp normally is a linear interpolation between two values, but if you pass it in a value as well on the bottom, then that says like what you should blend between to get. So sorry, I'm not really making much sense with that. Let me get another 3 color here. Let's change this to a different color. Let's just say green. And let's pass that in here. So by default, this alpha is 0.5. It's a combo of them. But if we were to bring this out, promote this, we'll call this our normal. Oh, did I just delete it by accident? Yeah, sorry. Normal multiply. Normals, I'll call it. Okay, so with the normals multiplier here, if we move this between it, you see at 0, it'll give you this color, and the closer to 1 you get a color that's closer to the green. It's not updating live. Maybe we can go to that preview mode. Yeah, and that might help us. Yeah, there you go. So you can see the closer to one side as it is. So it basically allows you to kind of combine these based on this ratio coming in. So what we can do then is, if instead of just combining another color, we pass in this. If we're on 0, it's going to be completely flat. That's what we're getting out of it. But the more we take it up, thank you for the follow, by the way. Welcome. Munchies. How much to mix it together? Yeah. 0.5, 0.5, 1 is neutral. Oh, is it? Not 0, 0, 1. Anyway, sorry. And so the closer up to 1 we get here, it's just going to take purely from this map then, which will then give us that that texture that we want. If we set the default for that to 1, it just means that we can flatten it. If it's a bit too much, you can kind of bring it down, and that's really what this is meant to be. So it's a flattener modifier sort of tool thing. So where is our option in here? Did I not promote it? Abnormals multiplier. Oh, let's oh, we're not actually passing it through either. Not used, I think, so it probably wasn't exposing it. There we go. Let's stop previewing that. Save. Move into this example. Yeah, you can see. There we go. It's updated now. That's it. No. Oh yeah, normals multiply. There we go. There we go. So this, we're going to see that our, look at that lovely rough, like, what do you call it? How that it looks 3D when it's not there. And then if we change that multiply down, if we think that's a bit excessive, you can then use this to kind of dampen it down, I guess. You still got a bit of it, but that looks probably a bit more bricky than this. This looks like really like you accidentally brush into that and you would cut your arm. Whereas this looks more like you've still got that texture, but without it being over the top. So that's why we have this. So we can use, you can easily kind of scale that, the impact of it. You go over the top, it goes a bit crazy then, right? But yeah, cool. So 001 is perfectly perpendicular to the surface. Yeah, that's what I was thinking it was as well. The Dutch Gandalf, thank you. Okay, right, cool. So we did that with our normal multiplier. So now what we've got, we've built up, we should probably save that a sec. We should put comments around this bit here. This is going to be basically the what would be a nice word for it? Kind of like the factor, isn't it, or strength, I guess. Okay, cool. We've done quite a bit of work in here. I mean, for me, who's never done like materials before, this all I understand every node in here, which is nice. Now, if we have an ambient occlusion map, then we'd pass it in. But if we don't, I guess we didn't have one for this. But should we make our master material? Uh-oh, what happened there? Is that just a... Yeah, no, we wanted to get like a texture for it, basically. But the thing is, if you pass in a texture that is nothing, and pass that in to ambient occlusion, I think that is going to have a detrimental value. A detriment, sorry. Missing input texture, yeah. So I'm not too sure how you do that. I don't know if you'd set, if you're not always going to have that map available, then it feels like you wouldn't go ahead and do that. Okay, so for now we'll just leave that out. But I think what that's given us is the ability to kind of have a node that is allows us to have a material that allows us to just switch out the materials and stuff in order to control how a material looks without having to play with this graph all of the time, which is kind of what we set out to do. So I think the other way that you can do this is while you can have metallic as a tick box. They ended up doing it. It's kind of similar to what we've done. It's basically if it's not metallic, then it'll be 0. Otherwise, it's going to be a factor of 1, I guess. But I think how we've done this is fine as well. So we can stick with that. So now we can try and use this to create our 3 different materials then, I guess. So we'll probably copy both all these and the light across. And oops, we can try and work with these and change them around. So for the first one, we made I made this Dan's brick wall, right? So we can play with these parameters, but I think we'll go ahead and we'll make a few different ones of this. So I already made an extra one, which was Dan's like green wall. So that's the textures. We want to go into the materials. Green wall. Let's rename this. So this is going to be Dan's concrete. And then we're going to make one more, which is going to be material instance of Dan's wood. Let's not just call it Dan's wood. Let's call it Dan's wood floor. Have I already got that? Oh, when did I do that? Oh, I must have done it earlier. Delete that then. My bad. What does it inherit from? Yeah, it does inherit from those. So the one thing I'm going to do is try and tidy up the groupings that we've got here before we finish this. So yeah, we want to change this. Any of these values to do with roughness. Did we change those to be roughness? We did. So I guess this would be to do with normals. I guess, would you put the textures? Would you group the textures together as well? It might make sense to do it that way. Yeah, I mean, let's maybe try it that way. We'll get the normal and we'll get the multiplier. And these would both be called. Oh, we're not able to do that? It's the group I wanted to get with. Why can't this be part of a group? This is part of a group, material expression. Ah, down here. Base textures. Is it because it already has one? Why does it not let me set them both at once? That's very peculiar. Okay, if I just try it, let me just try this. I just want to see whether it show that and then the multiplier underneath, which is what I think would look nice when working in this. Yeah, normal's multiplier and the normal's texture that you drop in there. Can you default it that it uses one as well, rather than having to tick it ourselves? Is default texture selected when using mission? No. Yeah, I'm not too sure if there's a way that you can force it to do that, but okay, sweet. So we can group those together. And then we might add this to the roughness one as well. Okay, and then we might add this to, what did we call these ones? The group color. Yes, we could probably use that in the color as well, didn't we? If we just call this color instead. Then we can add this to that color group as well. And then this would go into displacement, but it's not currently used. So for now, I'm going to just get rid of the displacement because we're not using it. All right, how does this look now? In editor, when we're creating one, we have the color tint, color texture, use Desaturation. Right, this, I know it may not be a big deal, but the ordering of it is unpleasant. So let's just see if we do the choice to set that up how we want. So I'm guessing we can say we want this to come first, and then we want use color tint. Oh, no, we want this to come next. And then we want this to come afterwards. That's how I would imagine it looking good. Let's have a look at that. Yeah, that's the order that we wanted. Great. So I think that's how you do it for all of the ones that you want. So the normals multiplier as well. This would probably have a priority of 1. So it goes that, then that. And the roughness as well. If this is 0, then we'd probably want the multiplier coming next. And then you would have the min and the max. Awesome. And then we have our metallic as well, don't we? Way to pass that in. Oh, hold on. Oh yeah, this metallic is just a way of feeding into metallic and driving the specular. Okay, yeah, I'm happy with that. So hopefully it looks nice now. When we jump to our material, yeah, we have the color-based stuff. We have there's metallic, normals, roughness, and then we have scalar. So, oh, specular is grouped into that. Don't know why that is. Let's have a little look at that. Oh, it's because there's no group to it. So I guess these parameters come into the texture scaling, I guess, and offset. And that. So we put these in a scaling and offset. Like so. Hi, Fitulu. I'm doing fine. How are you? We just came to the end of doing a session on making kind of base material, and I'm making material instances from that we can use. So here's our brick one. This has this on it. We're going to open this. We're going to drag this off to the side, and we want to make sure that we make this actually look how we want it to look now. So this is our brick block. We want this to be, I guess we'd want this to be a bit bigger so we can actually control it a bit nicer. We can have more bricks on it if we want, based on the size really, isn't it? We'll go for something like that. It's fine. We'll go for 3. I think we'll probably, actually it looked better at what it was. 2.95. We'll go for that. Still liked it where it was. Why do I care? I really shouldn't care. Can't help it. There you go. We'll go there. We might want to offset it a little bit on the X because I don't like these bits here. That might do fine. Go a little higher. Push it over like that. That's fine. Good. I'm glad to hear you. Good. What are you spending your Sunday doing? The Y offset I'm fine with. So if you remember the tiling factor we did was a way if we wanted to ever make you to have like longer bricks or shorter bricks. The shorter bricks would be like that. Longer ones would be like that, which it looks a bit naff. So typically we wouldn't have those on, but it gives you the choice to do it if you want. Okay, cool. So it's not going to be metallic. In terms of how rough we want the brick to be. How shiny in that, so let's go. The color at the moment, we don't want to. I'm happy with the color of it, to be honest with you. Don't want to metallicize it. The normals here. I've got normals texture. So this is going to exaggerate. Okay, I think we'll save that going too high based on the until the concrete we can make it look really rough. Well, this is fine for brick, I feel. And then our roughness multiplier is also going to have some factor. This means not at all shiny. You see it well here rather than... I see the difference in the... Yeah, it's a bit hard to see it in action, if I'm honest with you. Ah, yeah, that's where we've got a light in there, that'll help. There you go, so you can see the difference of how... Whether you ever get that out. Because on brick, you don't... It depends, actually, on the type of brick. How shiny you get it, but that looks too shiny to be brick. I think brick would be more correct, kind of like that. So we're going to go for that. I'm happier with that anyway. Where we were, I wonder if we take that app as well. Yeah, I'm fine with that. It's just all tweaks now. Mind you, me taking that to 3 to 3.25 doesn't really make much of a difference. Actually, no, it does. It'll bring up those. Sorry, ignore me. It's not changing the max, but it's changing some of the lower ones up. Okay, we're fine with that then. The specular side of it, I guess, would also impact the way that it bounces light. You see the difference between the 1 and the 0 here? That's like not at all. As that is more so. The default is 0.5. I'm not too sure what would look best. I think like about in the middle is probably fine for the brick. I don't think we're going to mess with that. I think I'm fine. Okay, so next would be if we do the wood then next. We're going to add on the wood as our texture here. So if we click here, we want to open up this texture here, and now we can change this. So you can see at the moment it's still using the brick, as the normal. So we want to go ahead and change all of these. So this is going to be our brick. No, sorry, wood. I meant to type. Wood floor, I think it was called. Here we go. Yeah, we'll do the normal there. And we'll use the roughness there. Okay, good. So we no longer have random lines in the middle of it, which is a good thing. And then we want to, let's think here. We could probably keep the wood the color it is, but the tinting on this could be better. Before, because we had the grout in the middle, it made it more difficult to tint it, but we could easily change the color of the wood. We desaturate it. That'll make it grayscale for us. And then we can literally just color it whatever kind of color of wood we want. So we can find the kind of brown color that we're looking for. Make different shades of wood with that. It can be really cool. It might be nice to actually have a multiplier for that grayscale as well as a separate parameter. But in terms of realistic colors, we're more looking over this shade. Yeah, I think that looks fine. So what if I get rid of the color tint? That is the genuine color, and then I made one that color. So it's slightly off. That's cool that we could do that. Okay, then in terms of the normal of this, I don't know if we're getting much texture on this at the moment. Let's see if we can notice the difference. Yeah, okay, I'm noticing these little grooves. I wonder if it'd look easier to look at from the top. Let's try and go down onto this. And it might help to actually change our scale. If we want to have our multiplier here. Actually have more wood to work with. Yeah, like that. Yeah, you're starting to see here where those grooves are coming in. See there? Yes, you can really see it there. And the light is shining on some of those knots. So there, that's a good place to kind of see how this is impacting. Oh, the normal multiplier put as a minus value accidentally. So it should, that means it's completely flat. We put 1. That means it's a high amount of detail. It looks a bit glossy, too glossy at the moment. But you could give it even more detail by taking it up. But it starts to break after a while. But yeah, typically you wouldn't have that much. I think the level that it's got at 1 is probably fine for us. The one thing I want to do here, maybe play with this roughness. So we have the choice here of whether we want it to look like it's been varnished, or whether we want it to look like it is just unvarnished, which would mean that it's just rougher. You still get the light, you're still getting that detail in there, but it no longer looks like it's covered in a thick layer of like PVA glue almost. So I might be happier with that. Yeah, that looks way too shiny. It might even, what if we just go 1 and then we change this minimum up? It should change the shiniest bits and control like how shiny they can be. If we did that and we say like, so the most shiny it can be is that really kind of midway point. I just feel it flattens it a bit too much if you do it that way. I think we had better results through just making the, yeah, taking the top end up a bit more. Oh, what happened to the light? Oh, is it because it needs rebuilding, or there's only, I don't know why. I kind of like how that looks underfoot. Should be fine. Okay, and then, so we've done our normals, we've done our roughness. Awesome, okay, sweet. And then I guess we'd come on to our concrete. So in this texture, in this one, we need to go ahead and override our different, I mean, shall I just rebuild the lighting when I'm finding this? I think. It's because those pop-ups are annoying me somewhat. Or the warning, not the pop-up, sorry. Textures, okay, so we got a concrete here, so we got a concrete color. Oh. What's the problem here? Concrete color goes in there, concrete normals goes in here, and the concrete roughness goes in here. Okay, sweet. So this one now needs that material on it. There we go. I wonder if I change something. I remember before there's like a maximum amount of like spotlights you can have in an area. And those X's used to come up then, but you get an idea of how this looks here. It looks quite nice by default, to be fair. We have a choice of just playing around with it and if we're happy with this. So the roughness and the normal multiplier probably things we want to have a look with. So that is like a really grainy concrete there, right? It's almost a little too much. Let's try that 1.5 that up. And then it wouldn't be shiny, you see, so it definitely, I guess, I don't know what, the roughness one is one of the things I'm struggling with most. I understand what roughness does, it's just the ways to control it. Like, I almost feel like if we multiply it all by 2 and then say the lowest you can have is 0.5 and the highest is 2, that should mean that we're stopping having any like liquidy shininess on that. Yeah, that's the point. Yeah. Okay. Cool. In terms of the concrete, how the scaling we want on that, we can, by default it's 1. Sorry, it was 2 by default. Well, not by default, but because we copied another texture. But let's get these all back to the basics. 1s. And yeah, I'm trying to decide whether we'd want it to be like chunky concrete like that, or whether you'd have it really high detail concrete, which is probably more realistic. It's like the surface of the moon. Where's that? Yeah, you can see the pattern looping when you go that high. You probably just would take it up to around 4, I think. That's fine by me. Sweet. Okay. So I think the one thing I'd like to do is we don't probably have like a shiny material to kind of play with as an example. And we can also just have a quick look at if we duplicated this off. And then on this one, okay, yeah, you've got to do it in this. So if I go ahead and make a different material for these. This is going to be Dan's wood floor color. I don't know what color I'm going to do it now, so we'll just call it colored instead. We'll chuck that onto there. Yeah, it looks the same at the moment. Open this up into this window. And we can go ahead. Well, this one we can reset now. So this, if we go to the wood floor here, we can get rid of the... Oh, we did get rid of it in the end. Okay, so that was the normal color. Okay, that's all good. That's all good. Let's save these. This one, and then we do want to use a color tint. We'll start with it as black and white. And then we're gonna something that doesn't look organic about it being. I almost feel like we need to like to brighten it up a bit. Too dark. Like you can't have like a beach. It doesn't look like it's been painted. I don't think you're ever going to do that. You can go for like a slightly different wood color, I guess. I mean, how would a tint look if we did it just with without this? And then we made it like blue. Oh. Nothing? Oh yeah, there we go. That's what I was expecting to see. It's like that versus that. Yeah, I think it's probably still healthier doing it that way. But I'm wondering whether or not we should, in our surface material, in here, whether we should. Here a sec. Where is our color tinting? So we should probably make another value. So if we are using this desaturated tint, that we should multiply this is the color, and I guess it would be what we're it would be this one, this line that we've got coming into this one here, right? We want to multiply it again. Hang on, is this the color? Yeah, no, it is. We're getting that out. No, up here, I feel. Desaturate it. It'd kind of want to multiply it before that, I feel. Let's add another multiplier in here. Let's promote this one to be a desaturation factor or a contrast, maybe brightness. default that to 1. I'm going to multiply that in here. And there for now then. I mean, I don't like the cross wires, so we're going to do it that way. Then that can go into the true here. And I think what that would allow us to do, this needs to go into the color as well category. Oh, for flip's sake, why did it do that? I don't understand. Okay. All that. Okay. So what we can do then with things like this, if we go into our materials, let me bring this over so you guys can see again. And when we're using this, what if we get rid of this color? I mean, let's use the default of it, right? That's great. And if we brighten this up, yeah, you can really lighten up the wood a bit first. I think what that'll give for us then is a way, yeah, where you can achieve these different colors, the different brightnesses, while still keeping that grain in there. Which hopefully means that we can get some softer colors in here. I am not the best at choosing woody colors, but I think that is probably a decent wood color. It's a little strong, but it's still an alternative. It would look fine. We do that, and then that gives us, before that would have looked like that. You see, it's still a fine wood color, but it's a bit dark. But if we want to lighten it up, I think you start to lose detail the more you go in, though. You get bits which are washed out, which will look a bit odd. Yeah, we created a different wood, which is cool. And then let's say we want one of them to be varnished. For this one to be varnished, then we would make this one shiny. So we could change the specular value of it, I think. Oh no, that's just whether or not it bounces off. It's not quite the shininess, is it? It'd be more the roughness that we would want to play with. We'd probably bring the normal. Yeah, this is the stuff that we changed. I forgot that it copied that over. This one looks a little bit more glossy then. And that other one, not massively so, but you can work on it, I guess. You could say we want to multiply. Oh no, that we want to reduce it down. Yeah, but it looks a bit much. But no, it actually looks. You see the way that the light bounces off both of them differently. I think that's cool. We could probably. I wonder how this would impact. Yeah. That's because not that much of it is rough. Yeah. Okay. As you go around it, it does kind of have that look of maybe being coated in something, right? And I guess with this we could probably run this one. We can make a different concrete. So this would be more like a sandstone. Or like a yellowy color, basically. Let's open that up. Let's check this in where we're working on and let's just go ahead and give it a color tint. Go, something like that for now. And then on this, we make sure that we choose the right one. Thank you for the follow, by the way. No banana, welcome, welcome. Hey, hey. Awesome. So it's a little bit of a chance to see how this one looks as well. So all that based off that same material, that one material that we've made, you expose out the parameters, and then we go ahead and we made a bunch of different material instances then, which look like, window open. These ones, oh, hold on. All of these different ones, so we have our bricks, wood, our different stones that we've made. And again, it might be beneficial in this example for this to be lightened somewhat, and we did add that little. Oh, well, that's if we do a desaturated tint, I wonder. So yeah, this. Brighten it up quite a bit if we wanted to, if we felt it was necessary. I say sandstone, I have no idea what different stones are. I'm just guessing it's the color of kind of sand. More of an orangey yellow tint to it. Because we've gone for the saturation, you can get it like grayscale if you went right in the middle. You go, yeah, that seems the right sort of color direction. Cool, and we had it with our bricks that we could have different types of bricks on there as well, right? So we could pull this one off. And on this one, we are going to go ahead and second brick material. What was this one over here? Sorry, I've forgotten if I've already done this. No. Surface material. So we'll duplicate this one. Brick, well, let's just call this a material instance Dan's brick stones. Should be called a brick wall instead. And so this material is just going to be a little bit different again. We might make it a little larger in scale. Oops, apologies. Oh, no. Sugar. We haven't replaced my mistake yet. We need to my stone wall and chuck that on there. Yeah, that. And then we want to I will read your chat in a moment, Mino Banana. Sorry, it's taking me a while. Let me just sort this out quickly. I'm going to bring this to, am I in the right one? Yeah. This to 1. So we should see on one of them the bricks have gone huge. We probably don't want it quite that big. But it makes them chunkier, right? We can go ahead and desaturate bricks. And maybe try and give them a bit of a tint. It's difficult because we have the grout color as well. Not gonna ever look like proper stone, but pumping up that brightness will help us. Like that. Let's press the end key and drop that onto the floor nicely. You know, a slightly fatter kind of rock here. Which were, and maybe we would make this yeah, the roughness of that might be different as well. Guess this has given us a decent preview at the moment. Because we don't have light on it, it's harder to see. We'd have to just borrow one of these or copy one of these. Going to see how it's reflected off of it and how that doesn't look right at the moment. So for me, I would say we would want to really, like, you'd never want anything to that much on it. I guess if we multiply it would help as well. Would the specular thing help you? I think we could probably just go for 2.5. Looking at this helps give a bit of an idea. You still get a bit of light bouncing off of it. Okay, sorry, minor banana. Omino, I have recently decided I'd like to pursue a career in programming and computer science. By any chance, do you know how much experience in coding I should have before applying to a college? It really depends on your country and whether it's a college or a university or whatever. It depends. Like some courses, if they don't require you to have like a computing qualification from school, then they may teach you from the very beginning. A lot of colleges or universities will have a foundation year that you can do if you lack the kind of core skills that they want as a requirement. They might have a foundation year where you learn like the basics that you kind of are expected to know, but you would then have to study for an additional year. Generally, though, I think you just, like computer science. When I studied computer science, it wasn't like teaching you programming. You were assumed that you knew roughly how to. You kind of knew a bit of programming, but no, actually, that's a lie. It did teach you like things like recursion. It took about object-oriented kind of programming, programming. I think thinking about it, they did teach us a bit about programming. So like, the requirements I needed was just, I guess, a simple level that I had been doing programming. I think I'd done some Visual Basic stuff at that point. But like, biggest advice to you is if you want to do it, then do as much as you can, even if you don't need to. Don't feel like, oh, I'm unhappy because I have to always do it. I don't mean in that sense, but I just mean the more you do it, the better you get. It's not like you don't just learn it from a book and then you're done. A lot of coding is experience and learning to solve problems and to not get grumpy and upset when things don't go your way. But there's a bit of a learning curve right at the start if you've never done any programming. Yeah, you'll never feel like you know it all. Definitely, I'd say. Cool. So we did a bunch of materials that all act a bit differently based on the light that we've got on them. I don't know whether it would be whether we should try and like. I'm trying to think of like getting a GIF to show what we've worked on. Yeah, we could, I guess, do something of this nature. You just kind of pan around it slowly. The lighting's not massively great. I like seeing the differences like between shininess we get. Yeah, this that you don't get on this one. Yeah, I was hoping to do a lot more today, but I think yeah, I've done 4 hours and I'm getting a bit strained of thinking. I'm tempted to jump back on Skyrim though. Get a bit of that done. Finally try and get that mission done that we said we'd do. But yeah, cool. We got all of these done. Let's save. Let's file save all as well. Close down those base materials. Oh, this might be super loud. Sorry. Let's get the volume mixer. Oops, wrong one. And reel down. There you go. It's a little less. I changed my projectile. I forgot to something nasty. It's like a weird animating tree thing. Yeah, okay, sweet. So we made a bunch of textures. We made a master material as well. I think they look cool. Obviously, a lot of what looks cool about them is the fact that they are great textures in the first place, right? So only so much kind of credit you take for that. But it's nice that we made all of these off of just one master material. I'm trying to think whether we could just lay these out a little nicer. Let's just get all these nice and tidy. I guess for this, one thing we didn't do is change that scale down as well. A bit different. And basically at this point I will delete these additional lights that I made. And we'll just, I don't know, maybe it'd be nice to, if we attach like a light to the camera. What have I attached it to? I mean, how does this work? Yeah, we got a little flashlight here, right? I could do that and just have one light instead of these. But still a little bit of light above. On with that. Sorry, so what I like to do is to like do a little GIF of what we've done in the session that I can post on the social media, and it's mainly just for myself, really, just to keep accountability. Like, so if we get this light that we put on here, we're gonna make the intensity on this more. I really don't know. What was it before? 5,000. All right, let's just make it 25,000. Because this shows how they react to the different lights a bit better. Yeah, that's cool. I like that. And I think what I'd like to do as a final step, sorry, this is taking ages, to move this one here, this one here. This one here. Where's that character? Go into the spotlight. You just go 10,000 instead is a bit. You still get it to be bright if you go close enough to it. Yeah, that's what I like, is being able to see the difference between those. Sweet. It is good to document progress for sure.